Hey YouTube, today I'm outside Hogwarts because in this episode we're going to be reviewing this Lego Hogwarts set. Hi guys and welcome to Brick Talk TV. Terry here, and today we're going to be looking at the Harry Potter Hogwarts set number 71043, which consists of 6,020 parts. It's aimed at the 16 plus age group, and this set is still on sale at the time of recording and retails for around £349.99 in the UK. This set has been done in microscale, and I must admit this did put me off from immediately rushing out and buying this set. But I'm glad that I did bite the bullet in the end and I did purchase this set. This set is packed full of detail from the films. And a top tip is to make sure that you've watched all the films before you start building this set, and also it's also quite nice to build along to the Harry Potter soundtrack if you've got it to hand when you're building along, to get fully immerse yourself into the Harry Potter experience. I found it's even better to do this build if it's near Christmas time, when you kind of still get that Hogwarts feel going on in the house as well. So even though this set is to microscale, you do get the standard minifigures as well. As you can see along the front here, you get one for each of the founders of the houses of Hogwarts. So you get Goodrich Gryffindor, Helga Hufflepuff, Salazar Slytherin and Rowena Ravenclaw. The set also includes lots of microscale figures. You will spot some notable characters such as Harry, Ron, Hermione, Dumbledore, Snape, etc. But you also get some spare students to position throughout the Hogwarts itself based on the houses that they're in. The main minifigures, as you see at the front here, have some great detail on, and they've got some great prints on to give you an illusion of some of the costumes that they're wearing. You build a stand for the figures, as you can see they're displayed on here, with the shields for each of their houses displayed on front. These are done with some stickers that you stick on the front. And this set also includes some mini builds that sit outside this sort of main building of Hogwarts. And you can see at the front here, you've got the Whomping Willow, complete with the Ford Anglia car in microscale, of course. And you also get to build Hagrid's hut down here, which also includes a spider and a pumpkin patch as well, as you'll notice from the films. Your build journey starts though with building the boats, as you can see at the front here, which is used in some of the films to depict some of the students travelling on their first day of term back to Hogwarts. And the boats bring you to the boathouse, which is built at the front here, just down at the front. And that's where you start building this lovely scaled Hogwarts set. So you start building down the front there with the boathouse, and then you walk through building up the mountain and the hill, and when you get into the detail of the castle. When you're building it, actually the detail of the mountain and the trees and everything is actually, I thought would be quite a bit of a dull experience, but I actually quite found the techniques used to depict some of the hills, some of the trees, the way they use the trees and the flower piece upside down, was actually really a bit of a delight for me, and actually really got immersed in this build. So you start building off on this half of the building, and then you finish off your second half over this side. And there is actually a natural split. So these two buildings do come apart. They just connect. They're not actually connected with Technic pins that clip in, but you just slide them together. There are some pins, but they're not clipped ones. So they just rest because it's quite heavy build, so it won't fall apart. And the split actually happens between these 2 points here. So you'll be able to have separate parts. As you can see, it's quite a large scale, even though it's micro scale. The actual overall appearance of Hogwarts is quite large. So you're going to have a large area to display this piece. I'm actually thinking of putting this into my theme park to copy some of Universal Studios' idea of having the Hogwarts ride, and maybe using this as to depict that this would actually be not to scale in a minifig world. So this is similar to how you see it in Universal. You have a Hogwarts castle there. So I'm probably going to use that. But let's flip this round now and we'll walk through some of the detail of the internal parts, because that's where all the fun is and the nods to the actual films that you'll notice. So let me go through that now. So here, as I mentioned, these are the first people up to be reviewed here. So these are the minifigures. So these, as I mentioned, are the only minifigures in the whole set. And these are actually of the founding members of each of the houses of Hogwarts. So you've got Ravenclaw here, you've got Slytherin, you've got Hufflepuff, and then you've got Gryffindor here. Each of them are depicting some of the things that you'll see in the films themselves. So such as the sword of Gryffindor is pictured here. They've also got some great level of detail on their bodies. So the printed parts are really good and unusual. And even just the appearance of these characters kind of look quite quite fitting for how you imagine that these people actually look. So particularly Slytherin one looks particularly evil in my view. So they've done a great job there. Then, as I said, you build this stand up as well. So this is one of the first things that you actually put together. And then you can stick the stickers on. And that's probably just a bit of a warning and alert for those that don't like stickers. There are quite a few stickers in this, as I'm sure you've heard in other places. So you do need to get your sticker groove on to make sure that you start placing these stickers correctly, because some of them are quite large, and if you put them on incorrectly, you probably have a bit of an impact to make it look not as good as it could do if you did it right. So so that's the first one. So that's the founding members, as I said, in minifigures. So let's flip over now, and I'll just move, before we go into the main building, I'll just talk through some of the small builds that come with this as well. Next up are the actual boats that are used to bring the students to Hogwarts on their first day of school, which is depicted in, I think, at least one of the films, instead of using the different ways that they get the children to Hogwarts, such as the Hogwarts Express train or as the horse and carriage. They also do use boats in some of the films. This is a really simple build. You've got 5 boats. It's just a window piece, which you can see here if you take that off. You've got an A-frame type at the bottom, then you've got a 2x2 with a rounded piece on top. And then you just put this lantern on front, and then the window piece with a wedge on top just slots on top. I have noticed actually, since I've built this, that these don't always clip in very well. So sometimes you'll find the windows fall off if you move them. Again, it may be due to temperature changes. But it doesn't always sit solidly for me. It's a bit disappointing. But I do like the way that they've used this A-frame to depict like the water going behind the boat as it's travelling through. So it's quite effective when you stack these boats up in a position to look like it's moving towards the boathouse. So those are simple builds that start you off as well. So then let's move over now and we'll have a look at Hagrid's hut. This is Hagrid's hut built up. So start off, as I mentioned, there's a pumpkin patch here, which those of you that have watched the film will remember is quite featured when the hippogriff is going to be executed. That's where he's held in the film. So you remember the pumpkins there, which again, a nice little build there. And then on this side, you've got the spider as well. So you'll remember the spider that lives in the forest. That's also mentioned in the films. It is put together quite nicely. You've got a couple of ring pieces here that you attach some clips and 1x2 pieces to form this decoration. And then, as you can see here, if you flip them down, you've got a main core here, which is built up for the roof, and then you just do the level of detail on these clips and you just push them in like this to give it some exterior feel as well. So that's quite a nice little build that takes you away from the main build part way through. But it looks quite effective, especially when you've placed it just in front, as you see in the film. So let's have a look now at the Whomping Willow. So here's the Whomping Willow. It does spin. Oh, that's the forward angler going there. It does spin round as it does in the film, and you can position these arms in different positions depending on what you're trying to achieve here. Remember this from the Prisoner of Azkaban, where they use this as actually, and you'll see this here. There's a little way to walk through to go to the room where Sirius was hiding, as you may remember. So this is quite a nice build. And again, they've even included the forward angler, which in that particular film was what was used by Ron and Harry to get to Hogwarts, the flying car. And you can position this onto the branches of the Whomping Willow as well, just to show how it was in the film, because this actually got then eaten up and bashed to bits in the film. So that's again another nice little micro build that's to scale and can sit nicely in front of the main Hogwarts. So those are the mini builds that are included in the set. So let's move over now to the first part that you build, which is the first half, which starts with the boathouse. And we'll work our way up through the details of the external building, then I'll flip it around and show you the internal bits that have nods to the film. So here you go. This is the first half of the actual Hogwarts build. As I mentioned, this is the boathouse. This is one of the first things that you start to build. And then there's a nice pathway that leads up through here, depict through the hill as it winds round. So you spend a lot of your time on this first part just building up this hillside before you actually get to the excitement of actual Hogwarts itself. But you should be able to depict the little staircase going up here, as you see in the film. And then this area here is where they all gather usually, and they hang around. This then leads through to the actual Great Hall. So you'll see a great level of detail here. This also actually reminded me of the Big Ben build as part of some of the details here. Just gave me little nods back to Houses of Parliament with these lights But so you've got the lights out here. You've got also some stained glass window effects that are positioned here. And this is where you've got a couple of Dementors hanging around. You remember from some of the films where the Dementors were guarding the Hogwarts. And then this is the entrance way here to the actual Great Hall. So you can see, if I spin this around, you've got another stained glass effect here with some clocks here, and you've got some statues as you walk through into the Great Hall. So if I spin this round to the rear, when you start building this, some of the first things, as I said, was the ground level. And actually here you've got the Chamber of Secrets is one of the first areas that you build. So you see that you've got the Basilisk here as well, which is from the Chamber of Secrets, which is what Harry fights in the scene. Again, it's got a nice level and nod to how that was actually really set in the film, where you've got some statues of some snakes, and you've also actually got the snake piece itself there. Then as you move through here, this is actually the Great Hall. So this is where you'll normally see them do all their eating and their kick-off for term parties and stuff like that. So they've done some good jobs here of the benches and the pews that you've got here. And you've also got the head table, which is where the teachers are sat. I haven't got any teachers in there at the moment, but that's where I'd normally set the teachers up. You've also got some flags here, which you should remember from the film as well, placed across the top of the Great Hall, and they've got the crests of each of the houses on. And again, they're stickers, so you need to stick those on as well. And then you've also got another sticker here, which actually depicts Dolores Umbridge when she was the headmistress of Hogwarts in one of the films, where she was sticking the rules up. Every week they'd break the rules, and she'd add more and more rules on plaques that would be hammered up by Filch in the hallway. And they've actually put a sticker there to depict that there, which is quite a nice touch. Then as you move through to the main big tower here as part of this thing, in the ground level of the build, this is the actual entrance to the Chamber of Secrets. So on this side, you've actually got where they've entered into the Chamber of Secrets, and this is actually the entrance to it. So it makes out that you'd walk through here to actually get to the main chamber. And then as you move up, you've actually got the moving staircases from the film, as I'm sure you'll remember, and these rotate round in different positions. Again, that's a nice little build using some Technic pieces to depict the steps with some casings for some door slider pieces there as well. And you can position those as you wish. When you get to the top here, this is the bathroom for the Chamber of Secrets as well. So you'll see Moaning Myrtle in there, and you'll also see the mermaid, which was used in the Goblet of Fire, where Harry had to take into the dragon's egg, I think it was, into the bath to get it to sing, so that the mermaids would tell him a clue. You also notice there's some sticker pieces for each of these staircases as well, because obviously the portraits are depicted in the film. The talking portraits throughout, and they're done by stickers again. So again, you need to be brave with these stickers. You need to go for them and make sure that you try and get them as level as you can to get the maximum effect. Then as you get to the top here, you've got this notion of a phoenix, I think it is, as a statue. And right at the top here is where Dumbledore's office is positioned. In the film, I think this is actually depicted as this tower at the top here, which sticks outside. But obviously that would be too small for them to do any level of detail. So in this, they've actually moved them into this position here. And you can see the micro scale Dumbledore figure there as well, along with his desk. There's some other things depicted in here as well, such as the dream catchers and some other things. But again, another quite clever use of the brick to make the micro scale actually look like a proper office. Again, you've got stickers in here and across the top here as well with some portraits on. So you do need to try and get them as level as you can. And then as you move through to the roof, I love this piece of detail here, which is synonymous with the different Dumbledore's office up the top here. But then they've also included a little mini build as well, which is the dragon, which is depicted, which chases Harry in the Goblet of Fire, I think it is. And it actually does land on the roof of Hogwarts. So they've just depicted that. And that, again, it's constructed with some nice pieces as well. Very cleverly done to give the effect of that particular type of dragon. And then that's the main detail of the internal of this build. And then you build the outside pathway here, which then leads to the bridge, which takes you over to the next section. So let me flip this piece over to the other half now, and we'll talk through the level of detail for that one. So this is the slightly smaller half of the Hogwarts in terms of the sort of overall size for me. This is where the other half connects. So then you get the external bridge here that allows you to walk through to connect the two pieces. And again, you have to start building up the hill and the mountain before you get to any great level of detail around here. But as you move to this part of the build, this is where some of the classrooms are held, some more offices and the main common room. But again, there's nods to some of the film secret areas as well. So let me just rotate this around and we'll take a look at the inside. So as you move around here, you get some more nods and some more details from the film set itself. So along here, you've got the actual hallway, which talks about the Chamber of Secrets being open and written in blood here, which you may remember from the films. And then underneath here, you've got the chessboard, which is used as one of the final scenes in some of the films, where they're playing chess. I think it's Philosopher's Stone. I think the first one is actually where that's from. And then you've also got this scene here where they're trying to collect the keys that are floating around with wings. And there's a broom here, which is they're using a paintbrush to depict a broom because of the micro scale. And that's where Harry has to fly up and grab the right key with the broken wing to make sure he picks the right one to open the door up. So again, more nods to some of the secrets of Hogwarts going on there. Up here, you have a classroom. So I think this is the potion classroom, if I'm correct. You've got some magnifying glasses. You've also got some more stickers here to depict some imps and things going on there. So actually this is probably Master of the Dark Arts classroom because you've got some of the fairies and things that they have to try and tackle in some of the later films. Then you've got, in this one, you've got a nice big pink surprise with Dolores Umbridge's office. So you may remember in that film where she was the headmistress, she turned her office into a cat zone essentially and made it all quite feminine. So they depicted this with the nice pink room. And then you can see her micro figure actually is I've positioned it in there as well. So that's what that area there is doing. And then as you move through here, you've got the notion of the mirror and some flames as the entrance of that. And then you cross this other second bridge here. And this is where, as I spin it round, you'll move into the common room here. So you've got a notion of a fireplace where students can lounge around and relax, as you've seen in the film. And this is more of a library area here where there's more books and places for students to study. These doors also open here. So this is where the main bridge comes in. So you can open these doors up and the people can come in through this way. This is where I've put Harry Potter, Hermione and Ron Weasley as well, microfigs. So they're chilling in the common room at the moment. And you'll see there's other characters here, which are just general students that I've placed there as well. Then as we move down here, the bottom one, this area is the potions classroom. So you've got Professor Snape in here as well, and some students trying to learn how to make potions. And then you've got the final classroom just down here as well, with another teacher positioned in it. So those are all the levels of detail. I did find as I was building this and things were coming together and stickers were being placed, it just because I'd watched the films at Christmas time, it was just making it all come to life. And every turn I'd made in this build was just taking yet another nod towards that the films that I'd been watching. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. So let me just get all the pieces back together and then we'll just go through my final thoughts. And that's the walkthrough. I love this build using the microscale technique and I think it worked really well. So despite my hesitation to start with, I'm really glad that I bit the bullet and bought this one. I love the details of the building of the mountains and the hill and the terrain details I already mentioned. And as you build the main buildings, there's nods to the film throughout with a great level of detail, even though it's micro scale. So the movies really come alive to you through the build. I think this is a must-have for any Harry Potter fan. The only downside being that I think, and this is echoed by a few other people, are the stickers that are required to actually bring another level of detail to some of the areas. I didn't mind this so much, but as it added to the story, but some may feel it's a bit more effort in the build and actually printing the parts would have made it the set even more special. But it's a thought that I can live with. I'll be placing this set into my theme park, as I said already, to reenact my Universal Studio trips. It gives a nod there, so that's probably where I'll end up displaying this. And I was really hoping that in the future they'll do a Diagon Alley version of this as well in the same sort of scale, so sort of the micro scale, but this scale in terms of the size, just because the level of detail that you'd be able to add into that and the nods to like Ollivander's One Shop and other things like that. Would be really good. So I'm really hoping something like that comes out rather than the bog standard models. I kind of want something similar to this in the future. So I hope you found this review helpful. If you did, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification to be notified of up and coming review videos just like this one. And until next time, stay safe and I'll see you then.